Hello and welcome to the channel. It's a new day, a new episode of Vinland Saga. This is Vinland Saga episode number 7. And in this episode, I'm expecting to see some sort of goal, some sort of journey, something that Thorfinn will pursue to get his opportunity to duel Aslard, right? That is what I'm hoping to see in this. Some sort of hero's journey sort of situation. Because so far he's just been throwing an elaborate tantrum, if you will, which is justified. I mean, he's been through a lot, but so far I haven't seen any fluid progression apart from the montage where he like grows older and also grows stronger. Last episode had a lot of moral dilemma, which I appreciate. Moral dilemma makes character interesting, and in this episode we'll get to see more moral dilemma and difficult decisions being made. Any without further ado, let's start the episode. It intensifies. By the way, after last episode, I did a lot of research into it, and turns out that this era was basically Vikings continuously trying to invade England, and what is his name? They had Denmark had a Viking. Denmark had a Viking ruler who was set on invading England. I didn't look into it too much, but I just got curious after the episode. Did a quick Google search. England 1012 AD. Because you might have noticed that there was a jump cut in yesterday's reaction, because usually it's all like unedited, but last episode I edited out a section where I was talking about Vikings invading England basically, but then I was unsure about how credible that information is. I ended up deleting that segment, even though I'm not like some kind of educational source. Usually I have like some sort of source to pull from, at least some sort of story, but I felt like I should at least look into it when I'm making like historical statements about countries invading other countries. So I don't know. I just felt like it in the moment when I was editing it. I was like, maybe I should remove this. Maybe sometimes I'll say something dumb and I'll just leave it in. Who knows? Which had continues for several years. Yes, it went on from like late, I think 800 AD or 900 AD into like early like millennium, like 1100 AD or something like that. A lot of years. Vicinity of Jelling, Denmark, King Sweyn's estate. Mm-hmm. True. That is a considered choice, letting your soldiers rest. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's not good for them, I guess. Yeah, they were looking to make money. I mean, that's what it means to be a freelancer. They're basically freelancers. Just they happen to be soldiers freelancing. Oh, spit everywhere. Yeah. So you have like off season, and then you have like busy season when you get like a lot of work. Just that is how it is. You have a lot of downtime as a freelancer.
どうするつもりだアシュラットは。
マーシュラッド、このまま冬を越すのはちと寂しくねえか。
Mm-hmm.
めぼしい村は平らげちまったしよ。
だよな。
どうするつもりだ。
どうするもこうするも。
I'm trying not to breathe into the mic.
と一緒さ。餌のあるところに移動するだけよ。
True. Birds migrate so long. There are some birds that like migrate half the world, basically. Like hundreds of thousands of kilometers. They migrate every single year. Now, Kingdom of France, vicinity of Loire River. What is happening? Battery gram? Yeah. So that happens. You notice that they're wearing chainmail, right? And you might think if they're wearing chainmail, how are arrows getting through them and hitting them, right? So chainmail is good for stopping slicing attacks, right? Because I don't know how to show you the chainmail. Imagine these like links of a chain, okay? They're good at stopping slashing attacks. But for piercing attacks, this is a pen, right? So for piercing attacks, imagine that there's like gaps in the chainmail. Piercing attacks tend to get through, and as they go through, they expand the space, right? So chainmail is weak against piercing attacks, against stabbing attacks, but they're good at defending against slice attacks. Oh, civil war in France.
せめては800ってとこか。あの砦に正面からぶつかるとはな。
Yeah, laying siege to a castle that big is a mammoth task, because you have to take into consideration how much food they have, how much food do you have. You have an active supply line that will bring you resources to keep laying siege, because a lot of the times a siege would go on for days, weeks, and even months. Who knows how many resources they have, how much time do you have to wait for it. So you would basically just live around the castle. You would surround the castle and just live there. You're just continuously laying siege until you break into it, or negotiate, or you just negotiate at some point.
巨地ってとこか。どうだ、お宝の匂いがプンプンしねえか。
おお、これが狙いってわけか。やるか、アシュラッド。
攻め手につくぞ。宝箱をぶっ壊して中身をこっそりいただこう。よっしゃ、こんなど田舎でどうするつもりかと思ったけど、さすがアシュラッドだぜ。やっぱ狩猟の読みは間違いねえ。イングランドで稼げなかった分取り戻す。そんじゃトロフィー出番だよ。
Will he be able to do it after that moral dilemma? That's nice. See, he has one in front, and he has the other dagger in the back. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, he probably has. He probably resolved himself after that last episode. Normanni. Okay.
せめての親分に渡りをつけといて。工場はこうだ。貴殿の戦は下手だ。見るに耐えん。よって我が兵団お助け申す。千載一遇渡りに船。必ず何時らを勝利へ導くであろう。砦が落ちた暁には戦利品の半分を所望する。
Yeah, so for the attacking side, right, that is like a win-win situation. Right, you are getting extra force to lay siege, and because of that, you're going to have to lay siege for a shorter amount of time than you were expecting. Maybe you don't have to create a supply line. Maybe you can just make do with the resources you have. You know, it's sort of like a win-win situation. And after the war, they take half the spoils. That's fine in a lot of cases because you end up having the castle, and like winning matters more than those resources, right? But in a lot of cases, let's say you are fighting a smaller battle and you have to fight a different battle. For example, you are crossing a fort and you're getting to a castle. In that case, you might not want to give away your spoils because your soldiers would like to get those spoils, and that helps keep the morale up because a lot of these soldiers are tired. They probably haven't eaten or they haven't slept in days. So you as the commander of the army need to keep their morale up, and a lot of the time spoils of war go to the soldier because of that, because you have a different battle coming up, or there is a successive battle coming up in which you need the soldiers to have high morale. So depending on the situation, depending on the morale, depending on how many resources there are, splitting spoils to get extra force might be beneficial for the attacking side. But then again, can you trust them? There is also a question. You might get backstabbed.
明朝再び突撃されよ。伝えたら奴らの兵営に残って状況を見張れ。分かったら行け。あ、どうした？行けよ、トロフィー。これまでにどれだけ殺したと思ってる？
Yeah.
石膏にも出たし、しんがりも務めた。
Mm-hmm.
手柄は十分に立てた。なのに、てめえは。なんだよ、褒美が欲しいのか？交渉成立なら金貨3枚くれてやるよ。ティールシンに誓ってね。ざけんな。いつまで逃げ回ってるつもりだ。怖い。からかっただけだって。
After that last episode, I feel like he was shook, right? He saw the direct impact of his actions, and at this point, I feel like he's like, okay, I've done enough, right? I can't keep doing this. I want to get my revenge. Be done with it. I feel like that is his logic.
だがな、それなら兜首の一つくらい取ってこなきゃならんだろうぜ。
Kill a soldier, I'm assuming.
相変わらずだね。でもいいのか？大事な交渉を任せちまって。
Mm-hmm.
劣勢の兵は気が立ってる。交渉の前に殺されるなんざよくある話さ。
Yeah, true.
拾ったガキなら惜しくはないだろう。なんじゃ、わっぱ。ガキの来るところじゃねえぞ、こら。
軍師だ。ノルド語を話せるやつはいるか？
なんだこのガキ。何語だ？フランク人じゃねえな。
Mm-hmm.
砦のやつらのスパイか？
If you have a spy, he would speak your language. You wouldn't even know. He would try to assimilate with you. That is something that never makes sense to me. If he was a spy, he wouldn't act like this.
は軍師だ。ノルド語を話せる奴はいるか？
Hmm?
戦利品の半分をよこせだと？傭兵不正が図に乗るよって。
戦利品の半分をよこせだと。
大した自信だな、ノルマンニの小僧よ。
Typical medieval aristocrat, anime aristocrat. I mean, yeah, like France did. France did have like infamous aristocracy. I mean, they famously, a lot of them. Makes sense. Fun fact: there is a quote from, what was it? Forgot who. The cake lady. I forgot her name. What was the cake lady's name? Marie Antoinette. Yeah. So Marie Antoinette was a part of aristocracy in France. I don't know what her stature was or anything, but I know that there is a quote that often goes around saying when she was told that the poverty is so high, because the situation was basically the aristocracy were throwing lavish parties, having a bunch of food, and they were just living these lavish lives, while the commoners had like really difficult life. The rate of poverty was really high. So the story goes that when someone told Marie Antoinette that poor people can't afford bread anymore, poverty is so bad, so Marie Antoinette turned around and said, then let them have cake, right? Because the implication being, the insinuation being that to Marie Antoinette, cake was such a common thing. You're like, cake is such a common thing, anybody can have cake. They can't have bread, and because to her bread is a rarity, she wouldn't have bread as much as she would have cake, because aristocracy. So she was like, if they can't afford bread, let them have cake, is the story. But fun fact, there is no proof of that happening. That quote is associated with Marie Antoinette a lot, but there is no formal record of her saying it. It just started at some point and people just agreed to it because they were like, France aristocracy, you must have said it. But there is no like formal written proof of her saying it. Anyway, France aristocracy, that's reminded me.
ノルマンニイングランドを荒らし回っている北の民か。
イングランドを荒らし回っている北の民か。
Mm-hmm.
小僧でもわかる。正門ばかり攻めても兵が死ぬだけだ。
they made him look like a frog, dude. You can see it, right? He just literally looks like a frog.
防備は薄い。俺たちはそこを叩く。
朝知恵だな。湖に至る川、登るにつれ勾配が
Steeper upstream,
天津さえ滝もあるのだ。
waterfall.
我々の船も下流で往生しておる。湖から攻撃せぬのはそういうことだ。
湖から攻撃せぬのはそういうことだ。
断るかこの話。ならばアシュラットの兵100
Mm-hmm.
砦側と手を結ぶ。
Yeah.
俺が死んだ場合も同じだ。
Yeah.
商談成立の合図。
Killing the messenger won't do anything. There is a famous saying: you never kill the messenger, because the messenger is just there to give you the message. Killing the messenger doesn't solve anything.
がない場合、北海の猛者100人がお前の敵になる。
And he shouldn't he shouldn't have had to say it, is what I'm trying to say. Shouldn't have had to say it. As the commander, as a general, you should have the acumen to consider the possibility of them joining the enemy if you reject the offer. It is basic war strategy.
よかろ
閣下
う。だが、貴様の言葉が偽りであればその首を切り落とす。まこ
Yeah, French cutting off heads. So, you know.
とであれば、イエス・キリストの名においてパンを等しく分かち合おう。
パンを等しく分かち合おう。
俺の探検を返してくれ。親父の形見なんだ。
Now giving them the signal.
トルフィンからの知らせだ。高く1本、低く2本。
急ぐぜ。月が昇りきる前に峠を越えるぞ。
Let's go walk in the dark.
ずっと船の護衛かよ。俺も戦いてえな。くそ。デブ将軍め。
Guarding the ship is an important task. What do you mean? The ship is an important resource. If something happens to that ship, do you even have a carpenter to fix that? Even if you have the carpenter, do you have the lumber to fix that? Because you can't just cut down trees and make it. You cut down trees, chop them into planks, then have those planks dry up. Because you can't just use the wood as is. Ship, valuable asset.
あそこか。
And very easy to damage. Because back then they were made of wood. All it would take is a fire. That is signature. What is that? Of Viking ships. I don't know. Cool. Figurehead. They're pulling it up the mountain?
竜が。竜が山を登ったじゃと。
はい。昨夜、船の守備兵全員が見たとの報告が。
Yeah. I want to see if they actually pulled the ship on the mountain and how they did it. Because if they did, I want to tell you a story about that.
強調です、閣下。
わしも一度見てみたいもんじゃ。
Okay, Frogman.
小僧、貴様の仲間、コヌではないか。
わしも一度見てみたいもんじゃ。
もう日が昇ってしまったぞ。
もう日が昇ってしまったぞ。
いいから突撃しろ、デブ。すぐにわかる。
今なんか悪口言っただろう。どうやら貴様の首は今宵の余興になりそうだな。全身用意。
全身用意。全身。
Mm-hmm.
突撃。
Mm-hmm.
いかん。始まっちまった。出遅れたぞ。野郎ども。気合を入れる。
Let's go.
戦場が待ってるぜ。
What is that?
来ても同じだ。
Is that okay? I'm assuming what they did is they poured hot oil. Now, hot oil is something that is shown in modern fantasy a lot, but back in the day, in medieval times, oil is a very valuable resource, right? Because that is your flammable resource. That is what you use for torches. That is what you use for lanterns, etc. Right? So oil is a valuable resource. You wouldn't use it in a strategy like this because A, it's wasteful, and B, because it is limited in quantity. And there is only so much you can do. More than that, what you should more than that, what would likely happen is you would use hot water, right? Hot water also burns you, It is abundant. It is abundant. It is abundant. It is abundantly available, and it is easier to handle. Yes, it is less sticky, less flammable, as in you can't just pour oil and then light it also, but it is more easily available. It's more repeatable. You can pour as much hot water as you want, and it is just a much more efficient alternative.
もう西側にもはしごをかけろ。規制をいとうな。
おい、敵の大将はドイツだ。
羽飾りのついた兜が見えるだろう。あいつだ。
兜首。
Okay, he's gonna go for the leader, I suppose.
貴様、やはり嘘か。殺せ。小僧を殺せ。
He's running into the battlefield. What are you doing?
おのれ。小僧は逃がすわ鳥では落ちぬ。どうなってるんじゃこの軍は。雪が降れば耐えれると思うとんじゃろ。そうはいかんぞ。砦が落ちるまでは絶対に。
Are they? Oh yeah, it's people. Oh, it's a ship. It is a ship. Yeah, I knew it.
な。
You want to see the dragon, no? Yeah. Even if it's made of wood, that would be almost impossible. Because depending on the wood, that still would be very heavy. No matter how many men you have, picking it up and running like that would break your collarbones and stuff. But it's fun to watch. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. Okay, something epic is going to happen, I feel like. Before we continue, let me tell you a story about taking a ship up a mountain. Okay, not a mountain, but a hill, right? So there is a very, very well respected filmmaker called Werner Herzog. Okay, Werner Herzog is very well known for making documentaries, and he has made a lot of nature documentaries. There is a famous clip of him talking about a penguin. Werner Herzog made a movie. Okay, I forgot the name of the movie, but as part of that movie, he had people pull an entire ship up a hill. I'll put a clip of it here if I remember to when I'm editing it.
You see that? There are times when a peasant's brain is good for something.
You're not a peasant! You are the smartest bastard on God's earth!
When people were like, "Oh, why don't you just use miniatures?" He was like, "No, it's not the same." Nice technique. Okay. Nice.
全速力一番乗りは倍の分け前だ気合い入れろ
Okay, I like this guy.
そうか。
They're evil as fuck.
じゃあ全軍進め砦を落とすのだ。
I know they are evil, but I like them.
うろたえるな右翼の80人はふらつき
I like their
石火隊
grandiose presentation. You know that scene in Megamind when Megamind comes and he's like, the difference between a villain and a supervillain. What is it? Presentation.
お粗末だぜ湖側は防壁どころか絶好の浅瀬なんだもんよよしぶっ込むぞ
Nice. Not nice. There are like innocent people living there.
なんだこの距離で盾を貫きやがった
Mhm.
アシラット
石海か多少損害が出るな今なら格好の的だ上陸される前に
Crossbows are faster and have more of a piercing force, but I feel like they have shorter range compared to arrows because given the distance, if you look at it, right, they're shooting from like here up here. Right? I feel like they wouldn't have that kind of range. For that kind of range, you would need like long bows or something. No.
なんだこの距離で盾を貫きやがったウーロンがやられたぞアシラット
石海か多少損害が出るな今なら格好の的だ上陸される前にできるだけ
If you had like ballistas or something, ballista is basically a crossbow but bigger. It's basically like this big of a crossbow, and you basically you load it with both hands with a giant arrow. It's a ballista. Something like that would make more sense given the force they're showing. Anyway, Thorfinn is here, and he wants the feathers.
子供
あれ攻撃がやんだ矢が切れたのかな上陸用意だ野郎ども
He knows Thorfinn is there. Ooh, fingers gone. Fun fact. What is it? Fun fact. Your nails play a very big part in your grip holding things. So if you hold something, let's say for example this bottle, right? So to a certain extent, I can just use the friction of my hand. But let's say I'm trying to lift something heavy. I want some pressure. Try holding something with pressure. You'll realize your nails kind of hold that pressure in place. I don't know how to explain it. Like your pressure is pushing against your nails to build that grip, which is interesting. And what is that? There's something else about opposable thumbs, obviously for holding things. And the random facts I can think of. Pinky finger does a lot. That's it. I don't know what other facts there are. Yes. Nice. He wants the head. Once you get rid of the commander, it kind of crumbles the whole command hierarchy. Also the whole command structure. And once an army is disorganized, they become easy pickings. His man just died behind him.
門の方は大丈夫なのかねこいつちゃちゃっとやれよやろうども
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Thorfinn was here.
なんてやつらだノルマンニ
No. I wonder what Normanni means. I'll have to look it up.
わしの予言術にかかっては
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
こんな鳥に
Exactly. Exactly.
砦の守備隊長は戦死しました敗兵の話によると子供の仕業とか
あの小僧か侮れんなノルマンにこのまま返しては我らの敵となるやも
いかがいたしましょう
連中は峠を越えてきた帰りも船を担いでいくだろうそこを叩く
Yeah, that's it.
陸に上がった船乗りなどは赤子同然よあ
山田将軍にご報告
なんだモーセ
お息子が
It's empty.
は
Yeah. That's what I expected.
わしの宝は
有力者の家や教会も荒らされております金目のものは何もかも
I mean, what did you expect? They were pirates.
そう
フランク人の長に申し上げる戦利品の半分として貴殿は勝利を我らは財宝を文句はあるまいなこれでも謙虚な方だと思うぜ砦はくれてやるんだからな
I mean, yeah, they did do most of the work anyway.
いいか奴ら滝を下る気だ
Looks like a frog, man. Imagine a frog had teeth.
ああフランク語はわからんなさてとおいとまするか
トルフィンがまだだぜ
あらほんとまどうせ死んでる分け前増えてよかったじゃん
He knew Thorfinn didn't die. Just keeps acting like that.
生きてたのか
しぶといガキだな
怪我はねえか
アシュラット大将首だ
へえ取ったのか
約束だ嫌とは言わせねえアイスランドの戦士トールズの子トルフィン
Mm-hmm.
我が父の剣にかけてアシュラットに決闘を申し込む貴君は我が父の仇であるがゆえに
Let's see what happens.
ウォラフの子アシェラッド我が祖アルトリウスの名にかけてトルフィンの挑戦を受けよう
I mean, Thorfinn has grown stronger, but so has Aslak, no? Yeah, he has been in like several battles since then.
が
But
後にしてくれ今こっから逃げるぜ焦げ野郎どもおいグズグズしてると顔を抑えられるぞ
てめえふざけんな
I feel like Thorfinn is going to end up kind of he's going to grow close to Aslak, and then the duel will happen. I feel like Aslak will die, and at that point Thorfinn is going to grieve him also. It's going to be like a weird, complicated relationship, right? Because he killed his father, but also he was kind of like a mentor to him.
竜が何だっつんだ怖かねえなんだ
でもよ
Yeah.
フランクの周囲よ
Nice. Interesting. That was a good episode. That was a fun episode actually. I did yap a lot. I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I get the urge to just spit random facts for no reason. Anyway. Thorfinn is growing on me, obviously. Ashlad is also growing on me, kind of. I like their entire crew. This is fun. They're like absolutely evil people, but they're also fun. I feel like which kind of fits the vibe of the show. No one's like good or bad. Everyone's just depending on how you look at them. Anyway, that was episode 7 of Vinland Saga. That was a fun episode. And if you want to catch episode 8, don't forget to subscribe and like this video because I'll be uploading that tomorrow. And if you want to catch me live, don't forget to follow the link in the description. I'll see you in the